fellow aviators, Fuerte here. Welcome to leg 38 of the World Tour. Today we're flying between Creel in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico, down to El Fuerte in Sinaloa through the Copper Canyon. I am flying in VR today to try to check out this beautiful Copper Canyon scenery in a very immersive way. So we'll check it out, see how it goes. Flying the Cessna 172 again. We did get filled up with plenty of avgas here, so we're fueled up, ready to go. Let me pull up the checklist and we'll get everything fired up here. So you have to press tab to get the checklist pulled up, and there we go. We have the pre-flight inspection in the cockpit. Aircraft documents are checked. Parking brake, we'll get that set here. There we go. Pulled the lever out. Ignition is off. Avionics switches are off. Battery switch, we'll turn that on. Fuel quantity indicators, we are full, as you can see right up here. Low fuel annunciators are off. Avionics switches, we'll turn those on. And we hear the avionics fans, so I'll turn the avionics switches back off. Avionics cooling fan was audible, switches are off. Static alternate pressure source valve right here is off. Annunciator panel is, let's test that really quickly, make sure it's working. Great, it's all working, no problems. Fuel selectors on both. Let me go ahead and open up the fuel shutoff valve flaps. We'll pull those down here. Yeah, we can see them going down there in the right wing, and left wing also looks like somebody's getting ready to depart out of here. Do a little sightseeing out of Creel in the Copper Canyon. Pitot heat, let's check that on and working. The amp bump, so that's good. And battery switch off. And elevator trim is set to neutral. Alright, forced engine check. Let's go ahead and do our pre-flight inspection really quickly. So out here, the aircraft looks good. It'll be a left-hand turnoff out to the runway. And I believe our winds today are going to have us departing to the east. Also, we do have some cloud cover, and I think it'll continue to increase as we head toward El Fuerte, according to the forecasts. Pre-flight inspection is complete. Seats, belts adjusted, locked, electrical equipment off, avionics switches off, fuel selector both, fuel shutoff valve open. Alright, for starting the engine, throttle, you need to open it 1/4 of an inch, mixture to idle cutoff, propeller area clear, clear prop, battery master on, beacon on, and mixture to rich. We'll turn the fuel pump on for 3 to 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Mixture back to idle, or lean, actually. Sorry. And feet on the brakes and ignition to start. So here we go with the startup procedure. I got my feet on the brakes and start them up. And we're right at about 1,000 RPM. And oil pressure, temperature look good. Turn the alternator on. Batteries charged on the ammeter, annunciator panels clear. Let's go through these last few items here on the checklist. Make sure it was rich after start. Throttles adjusted, oil pressure checked, alternator on, alternator indicator off, ammeter checked, avionics switches on, radios on, transponder, we'll turn that to standby. And VFR below 14,000 feet, you squawk 1,200 in Mexico. Flaps are now set to up. Heading indicator should be showing 330, that's what we're showing on the heading indicator now. Altimeter, I believe the pattern altitude here was about, we're about 2980, so we have that set. Attitude indicator set. And taxi in and out, we'll check everything else. So it looks like we're clear to the right. We'll have to turn around to the right because of this ramper that will not move. So let me turn on our nav light and our taxi light. And we'll turn around and then I'll make a radio call once we've maneuvered to where we need to be. Yeah, these rampers sometimes in Flight Simulator are not the brightest. Alright, Creel traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha, taxiing from the general aviation ramp to runway 10. Any traffic in the area, please advise, Creel. Alright, so we'll begin our taxi out now. The brakes work, turn coordinator works, heading indicator works, magnetic compass was checked and working. Set our heading bug to 100, which is our runway heading. And we're gonna taxi over here toward the right. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch our nav GPS switch to GPS since that's what we're gonna be primarily using today. It's 94.8 nautical miles from Creel down to El Fuerte through the Copper Canyon. And plane us at 10,500 feet. If we need to transition to instrument flight rules, we can do that. I'm going to stop us right here. We're going to go ahead and do our run-up checks right in this area since we don't want to spend all our time on the runway. So let me pull us off right here. We'll set the parking brake. Let's turn off the taxi light for a second. And let's do our checklist here. Run up check. Parking brakes set, pilots and passenger seat backs, most upright position, seats, belts, check secure. Flight controls, we'll check that they are free and correct. They are. Flight instruments are set. I'm going to set 10,500 for our target cruise altitude. We're going to be flying well under that, doing some sightseeing, but just as a target. And fuel quantity indicators are set. Mixture is high altitude rich. Fuel selectors both. Autopilot. Engage it really quickly and then move the flight controls against. And it did disengage. It's off now. Throttle set to 1800 RPM and we'll check the magnetos. So there we are. 100 RPM. Check the right mag. Back to both. Left mag, back to both. We're within 50 RPM of each other, not more than 150 RPM drop. So they're good. Vacuum gauge is good, oil temperature, pressure good, and the annunciator panel is clear. So all of that looks good. And let's check engine idle. Make sure we idle out 600 to 650 RPM. Looking good, so back to 1000 RPM on the tachometer now. Great, so engine looks like it's good to go. Before takeoff, we're going to, radios are, this actually need to go to 122.8. So it's on the wrong frequency earlier. There we go, 122.8. Avionics set, nav GPS switch set. Transponder on to alt, and autopilot off. Elevator trim set for takeoff. Flap 0 degrees. Cabin windows closed, locked. Parking brake release. Alright, we're ready for takeoff. Looks like we're clear on the right, clear on the left. Don't see anybody, don't hear anybody on the radios. We'll flip all our lights on and we will get underway. Creel traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha, back taxiing runway 10. Creel. And our flight path today is going to be mostly west, southwest, just following the Copper Canyon and the rivers that flow through it toward the ocean. It was the Gulf of California there, so we'll with the Baja Peninsula on the other side. But we won't quite make it all the way to the ocean, the Gulf today, but next leg we'll be arriving there. You can see this runway is over 8,000 feet long, so it's a nice long runway. They're trying to get some commercial traffic into Creel due to its close proximity to the Copper Canyon. And actually the Fuerte, the place we're going to today, is one of the starting points a lot of people take to get on the train to ride up here and check out the Copper Canyon. So we'll get to explore that whole route from the air in this leg. And I'm discovering it for the first time along with you all on this flight. So we'll figure out exactly where we need to go as we continue. Alright, here we go. We'll turn around here in the little space here at the end of the runway. I'll make a radio call and we'll be underway. Creel traffic, Cessna 215 Romeo Alpha taking off runway 10. We'll be departing the pattern to the west, southwest. Creel. Alright. There's runway 10 on the pavement. And I'm going to do hold the brakes really quickly, make sure we get full takeoff power since we're at high altitude. Very light crosswind from the right here, so we'll keep that in mind. Alright, looks like that's about all the power we're going to get. Here we go, engine instruments look good. We'll get us back on the center line here. Alright, airspeed's alive. There's 55 knots, we'll rotate. And I gotta say, this is an incredible departure in VR. And we will see the Copper Canyon down there to the south. Alright, we'll begin our turnout now to the south. Creel traffic, Cessna 215 Romeo Alpha departing the pattern to the south. Creel. A little bit bumpy today. Just a hair of turbulence. Alright, looks like the direct track was 204. It's 204, so I'm going to set that in our course deflection indicator, CDI. A lot of acronyms in aviation, so there's always more to learn and review at the same time. Alright, we'll start by checking out this part of the Copper Canyon. Looks like we're in the early stages. I think we can maintain 8,500 for now. Looks like it's a safe enough altitude due to the current flight conditions. Light winds, which that's going to help with the turbulence. So 8,500 now. And there we go. You can see the Copper Canyon up ahead. Larger than the Grand Canyon in the United States. Wow, it's incredible. I gotta say, this is definitely a flight worth making if you have Flight Simulator 2020. Wow. I wonder how deep this canyon is. I mean, this is just incredible. It's definitely greener than the Grand Canyon, which we flew in one of our earlier legs. And I had read that about this Copper Canyon, that it has those kind of a reddish tint, but also greenish, and it definitely gives off a copperish color, especially later in the day. So right now we're at about after 3 o'clock local time, after 3 p.m. So still a couple hours of sunlight left at this latitude. But wow. And look, there's another branch of the canyon that's heading back to the east. And you can kind of see those copper colors coming out. Just absolutely massive drop-offs here. And we're going to be making our way to more of a tropical climate when we get on the west side, from what I've been reading. Looks like there's some buildings over there. Let's go check those out really quickly. Wonder if that's a cable car. Maybe they're just some hotels and resorts they have right on the edge of the canyon. That'd be a neat place to stay. Yeah, looks like they maybe built it right into the cliffside, so you just look out over the canyon from your room. So very cool. There's a town right there. Let's pull out little nav map. See if we can't tell what town that is from the map here. Let's take a look at it. And just can't quite make it out, but yeah, the resolution's the font size is just tiny on little NavMap right now when I'm using it inside Flight Sim and with the toolbar, so I just could not read it. I'm going to set our direct track here of 204 just so we have it as a reference. We'll turn off our landing taxi lights. Just getting the camera recentered there, so that's why the sudden jolt. Check out the outside air temperature up here. It's 62 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 degrees Celsius. And you can see the river down there in the bottom of the canyon is growing as more and more tributaries feed into it, and it makes its way out to the Gulf. And it looks like there actually might be a town down there at the bottom of the canyon. I might actually go down there, see if I can. Let's go check it out. Yeah, you can see the road right here just winding down the canyon. And we'll see what the elevation is down here. Yeah, it's a decent sized town right on the edge of the river. Let's pull up a little NavMap here. Let's see if I can make out what it's called. Do not know. There's a road down there. It's honestly long enough to land on. If you really wanted to. But you just see just how stunning this Copper Canyon is as you descend down into it too. It's absolutely impressive. So a lot of incredible scenery in this western part of Chihuahua, Mexico. That really does almost look like a road you could land on. So we're getting down, we're below 3,000 feet now. So we've really lost a lot of altitude since we were up at 8,000 feet. So it's over 5,000 foot drop down here into the valley. I think I'm going to try to land in the town there. Let's see what happens. make this exciting. So we're down to 2,600 feet. I'm going to have to wrap us back around another time. We'll have to come down the river. It definitely looks like... So for this mountain flying like this... You want to fly at a slower speed. Slower speed means a smaller turn radius. So what we're going to do, we're going to fly down the river here, and then we're going to come back and land on that section of the town where it looks like you can fly in there if you want to. We're going to just assume that's an airstrip for us, just for the fun of it. So we'll make our way down the valley here. We'll turn around up ahead, and then we'll follow the river in and make a landing. We'll take off going back this same direction to the south. Alright, so here we go. We'll do our 180-degree turn. Start bringing some flaps in. And we'll be making a left turn at the last second here. Alright, there we go. We made it. It's maybe not the smartest thing to do. And now we just have to turn the airplane around somehow. Oh, maybe I can back it up into... let me look outside really quickly. It's pretty narrow up here, so maybe if we back it up into that little area back there. Just gotta be really careful. Don't want to hit any buildings or cause a crash here. Okay, there we go. Alright, we'll get back in the cockpit and we'll begin our takeoff roll. We'll be at 10 degrees flaps. And we'll make sure at full power before we go. Here we go. Just want to make sure I save as much as possible for our aircraft. Okay, there we go. Alright. Make sure we get full power. Here we go. And there we go. We just follow the slope down when it's that steep of a gradient. And now we'll just accelerate following the river to the south down the canyon. So I think that's something I probably definitely would not do in real life. Just something fun to do in the simulator. Alright, flaps up. And we'll accelerate out of here and get climbing up to the top of the canyon again. We'll just follow the river down to the south and then get back on course towards El Fuerte. So there are quite a few towns down here at the bottom of the Copper Canyon. But honestly, if we'd been any higher above sea level, that takeoff might have been pretty much impossible in this Cessna 172. But every now and then I do things just for fun, just because we're in a simulator. So that's exactly what that was. And it's going to take quite a while to climb back out of to the top of the canyon here. We're catching a little bit of an updraft at the moment. That's nice. There's some of the beautiful waterfalls in this section of the canyon. You can see off the left wing back there, tucked away, a couple of waterfalls. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit on the GPS just so we can have a better idea of where we are in relation to our overall course we need. So we'll be into Sinaloa here pretty soon, leaving the state of Chihuahua. But we've seen a variety of terrain types during our time in Chihuahua. We've been in the desert and up in the steppes, through the mountains, and also in canyons. Some more waterfalls off the left wing there. And the river continues to grow. And we'll make our way over the ridge line here. So I should probably cross right over in this area so we have a quick escape route if we do happen to catch a pretty bad downdraft heading over this ridge. Looks like maybe they're doing some mining down there in that section of the canyon. What I can see, so. Yeah, there's a little NavMap. Still can't really get any detail to really help us tell where we're looking at, but I'll keep working on that, try to find a good way for us to navigate in VR. Right now I don't have a way to view any instrument procedures or charts, but if y'all have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Appreciate any ideas. I'm thinking they'll probably come out with a solution in through a SOBO. If they could just allow a way to pull up an internet browser in the toolbar, that would solve the entire problem. This canyon's really opening up at this point, and starting to make our way into Sinaloa now and toward the Gulf, so terrain is leveling out, getting a little bit lower. And clouds are thickening up now as we head toward the coast. And it looks like we're starting to get some of the lakes up ahead where I'm guessing they've dammed up the river. But the river itself is pretty large at this point in the canyon. That almost looks like an airstrip out there off the right wing, but I'm just not sure it is. Don't really have a good way to know for sure. Doesn't show on the GPS, doesn't show on the little nav map, so we'll just keep on going. We already had one off-route adventure in this leg. We'll see if we can't find the dam here at the end. Well, it's a beautiful lake down there. Cool thing in VR, you can stick your head outside the aircraft like this and check out something you probably wouldn't do in real life, but fun to do in VR in the simulator. Alright, and you can see the terrain is really opening up now. Leaving the mountains behind, and the canyon is opening up to this or we'll see if it's more tropical, perhaps. It's been rather dry up to this point in our flight. Kind of the high altitude steps over the last few legs. It looks like it's actually quite cloudy farther out to the southwest. You can see the looks like I see a low layer of clouds way out there. Definitely a weather system moving through. These last few legs we've been in the clear, using the live weather here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Alrighty, I'm going to try the autopilot for a second. We'll put it on nav mode. We do have GPS selected. So, autopilot on. We'll do altitude. And let's see how it holds here. Yeah, looks like it's doing pretty well. Very cool. I just want to see if it'll let us crawl into the back seat here, see if we can see what it looks like back there. Not sure that it will. We can at least crawl over here to the right seat, take a look out. Check out the difference in perspective. It certainly is a pretty lake. And there's the dam. Alright, still 31.8 nautical miles to go to our destination. Let's drop our landing taxi lights again. I left those on since we made our landing at the bottom of the canyon. Okay, so here on the little NavMap, I'd actually put an IFR route in little NavMap that we could have used if the weather deteriorated too far, but looks like our final destination, it's going to be on the other side of this next reservoir, which we see just up ahead off the right side of the nose. So I'll close that. Let's check out the VFR map really quickly. Just want to see what this looks like in VR. So there we go. We got a pretty good overview there of where we've been and where we're going. So you can see we're really out in the lower elevations now as we head toward the coast. And we are and enter the state of Sinaloa. Just checking out the dam back behind us to the right. It's a really good sized city down there. Once again, I see a baseball field, baseball diamond. Also looks like a football field, soccer field down there. Let's see if we can figure out what town that is from little NavMap. So they're going to have a Agua Cavate. I can't read it. So Well, I'm glad the weather has held up for us so far on this trip. And with 21 miles to go, looks like the visual meteorological conditions are going to continue for us. So it shouldn't be an issue. Getting into our final destination here today, Fuerte. It's definitely kind of turning into an overcast layer up above us, a thin overcast layer, broken to overcast, so continue to see these clouds thicken as we head toward the coast. Visibility is going down a little bit too. You can see it's pretty hazy up ahead. Alright, so the airport at El Fuerte is at 331 feet above sea level. So we're definitely out of the high steps now and mountains. It's going to start turning a little more tropical. It is starting to look that way down below us. So in order to land, get it pattern altitude, which will be at 1,400 feet, we need to lose 7,000 feet. So a 3-degree glide path, you multiply the altitude to lose in thousands times 3, that'd be 21. So 21 miles out we should begin our descent. And you multiply the ground speed times 5 to get that approximate amount, which would be about 500 feet per minute. So since we're a little closer, we're going to start our descent now, and we're going to go down to 1,400 feet. We'll put it in the autopilot here. This will be a good test for this. And we're gonna go, I don't know if this autopilot will really let us. Here, let's see if I can. Yeah, it's going crazy. I'm gonna disconnect the autopilot here. We'll slowly pull the nose up and we'll descend at about, let's go at 700 feet per minute for now. And then 10 miles out, I'll go ahead and make our first traffic call to El Fuerte. And its runways 13 and 31. So Tried to peek underneath my VR headset there to check out the airport information, since I can't pull it up here in inside VR and Flight Simulator at this time. I'll keep it coming down at 1,000 feet per minute for now. This may be a little painful to the ears, an unpressurized aircraft like this, but we'll keep it going. A beautiful setting here in El Fuerte, near the reservoirs and mountains in the distance. Just a short flight into the Copper Canyon. And also, like we said at the beginning of the flight, a place where you can get on the train to head into the Copper Canyon. A place a lot of people might start that journey at. Alright, I'll go ahead and make our first radio call. We'll be landing on runway 13 today, so let me set that in here. El Fuerte traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha. 10 miles to the north. Inbound to land runway 13. Any traffic in the area, please advise El Fuerte. Definitely a lot more trees now. And there's another dam. Alright, we'll turn on our landing and taxi lights now. Let's go ahead and run through our descent approach checklist. Altimeter setting, we checked it, there's not really a good place to check it here. Nav GPS switch set, fuel selectors on both. Flaps will lower to full for our landing approach. Mixture, we'll slowly make it back to rich here as we get to our lower altitudes. Taxiing landing lights are on, autopilot is off. For land check complete. This must be the town of El Fuerte off the nose here. And I'm thinking that's maybe the railroad down below our wing, right wing, that heads toward the Copper Canyon. El Fuerte traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha, 4 miles to the north, inbound runway 13. In traffic in the area, please advise El Fuerte. Alright, I believe I see the airport off the nose now. Right about the 1 o'clock position. So we're going to cross. Do want to do a quick examination. I'm actually going to fly a little bit down to the southeast and then turn back for a full pretty much a full left downwind. Just want to make sure the runway is clear and in good condition. Don't hear anybody on the radio, don't see anybody right now as I'm doing my scan. And there's the town of Fuerte, just off the right wingtip. I actually think a little NavMap will let us check on the winds. And looks like the winds are actually, yeah, they're favoring runway 13, so perfect. Alright, we're coming up on our pattern altitude of 1,400 feet. El Fuerte traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha entering left downwind, runway 13, El Fuerte. Alright, we'll start slowing us down now. We're at 1,400 feet in our pattern altitude. And winds are fairly light. I think they're only about 3 knots. And there's the airport. Looks like it's a nice paved strip. It is closed in real life, but we're going to use it in the simulator. Once again, another baseball diamond. Alright, we're starting to descent now and slow ourselves. Flaps 10 degrees. Flaps 20 degrees. Some power lines down below us. There's 70 knots, that's our approach speed. It's actually much easier to fly a traffic pattern in VR than standard, because honestly it's just so much easier to keep the runway in sight and look for all your visual references. If you're on the fence about buying a VR headset, especially this HP Reverb G2, I highly recommend it if you're able to get it. Really a neat experience and much more realistic for flying in the simulator. I'd say it's about as close to the real thing as I've gotten without being in the real aircraft or a multi-million-dollar simulator. In some ways it's better than the multi-million-dollar simulator. Alright, we have some really high trees off the end of the runway here, and you can see the yellow X's on the runway. So it is closed in real life, but we're using it for our trip here in the simulator. There's a guy around the edge of the runway. I don't know what he's doing. And we had special permission to land here. I'm going to slow us down. We'll make a 180 here on the runway and taxi back to the ramp. Alright. And a little after 4 o'clock. And I'm not sure, we might actually be in Pacific time now. I have to check the check my Baja Bush Pilots Mexico guide when I get out of VR, but We are officially in the state of Sinaloa now. We'll go ahead and raise the flaps just so we don't have any mishaps with a gust of wind. Already have a high enough threat with the high wing aircraft, so looks like they do have fuel here. Excellent. So we'll be able to top the tanks off again before we head to the coast in our next leg toward Los Mochis. So we'll pull in off the runway here toward the ramp. Looks like the fuel truck's gonna be nice enough to get out of our way. And we'll just pull it up right here. Here are the fuel tanks. And I'll set the parking brake. Let's get the landing taxi lights, strobes off. And we'll go ahead and start running through our extension. Let me let the traffic know we're clear of the active. El Fuerte traffic, Cessna 215, Romeo Alpha, clear of the active, El Fuerte. Alright, transponder to standby, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Avionics masters off. Get our trim is set for takeoff again. Mag cutoff test is complete, idle check complete, mixture idle cutoff. Get the beacon off, nav lights off, alternator and battery master off. Let's run through on the checklist real quickly, make sure we got everything. Start with the after landing check. Taxi lights, I'm sorry, flaps are up. Landing lights off. Taxi lights off. Strobe off. Elevator trim reset neutral. Transponder was standby. Parking brake set. Transponder off. Avionics switches off. Engine idle checked. Mag check. Cutoff test. And mixture idle cut off. And for our final checklist of this leg, ignition's off, landing lights off, taxi light off, nav lights off, alternator off, battery switch off, fuel selector, we'll put it on the right tank today, and push off valve is now closed. Securing check complete. Well, welcome to El Fuerte. Hope you enjoyed that beautiful flight through the Copper Canyon. You can see the clouds are rolling in off the Gulf of California. We'll be headed out to the coast in the next leg and toward Los Mochis. Until then, VRF Simmer signing off.